My name is Ron Bultongez. I was born in the Democratic Republic of Congo, in Kinshasa, Congo, and I am 20 years old. There are times where like the electricity would absolutely go out everywhere in the area, and that's whenever people in the community would go outside, and we'd like start a fire, and we just sing and stuff like that, and hang out, and not be on our phones and all that kind of stuff. And so just like um, that sense of community that you felt at times like that was really cool. And also like my we walked around everywhere to get around. It was always walking, whether it may be to church, to school, and I'm talking about miles. And initially I did that when I first came to the United States. I just used to walk everywhere, and but we used to walk everywhere in the Congo, and so those are some of the best conversations you would have with your friends or your siblings or whoever you're with. Um, Another thing that I really enjoyed, we used to have well, I think it's, when people see the Congo or other third world countries in Africa or, they just see this poor country where people are just absolutely miserable all the time. But I'm like, hey, we had tropical fruits. We had like trees, like mango trees and banana trees and avocado trees in our yard. And so there were times where like you'd get this like a little rock and we would throw it at the fruits to try and like, chip it off the tree and everything like that. And so there were a lot of moments that were really, really, fun that are still dear to me and I cherish to this day. Yes, there are also not so fun memories. I remember there were times where like the there'd be soldiers that would come into your home. Of course, I was too young to know whether they were rebel soldiers or like government soldiers, but it was just kind of like those kind of moments were kind of frightening because you're not really sure what's going on and everything like that. I remember being taught by my mother like how we had to change our names and lie about our story about what we were doing and stuff like that, and um, all the different forms of travel that were used from all the different vehicles, and it was just a stressful process, and so times like that weren't very fun. The first thing I noticed was I look different. I look um, different than everybody else, and overseas, like the really dark skin and the like the gap tooth smile, that was like a beautiful thing. And I got here, and then it was like reality check, like you get made fun of at school for that kind of stuff, and so that's one thing that was pretty different. I didn't speak any English when I got here. I only spoke French, and I understood a little bit of Lingala and Swahili, and so for a while, all I could say was, I don't speak English, I don't speak English, I don't speak English. And, but it actually, it took me about a month to grasp the language, English. My family, a weird topic, but whenever we came to America, my dad was already here in America. It was my mother and seven of us. I think somewhere in the process because it was a kind of a long process, somewhere in the process she either just had a baby, our youngest one, or she was pregnant. And so when we got here, first we were all together and everything, and then a lot of family issues started happening. Everyone's kind of, gone in their separate ways a little bit. Um, one of the I would say the reason why my family came to the United States is a couple of reasons, a couple of main reasons. Because one, the Congo, since I think 1996, six or so, has been in the midst of a civil war. And it's like, I remember like back when I was in like middle school, I would, always stay on Google and just kind of stay updated with what was going on over there. And the death rate at that time was like 50,000 deaths a month. And it was like, it was like the amount of deaths that have happened, the next closest thing to it is the Holocaust. But people don't realize that, and it's not on TV, it's not on, it's crazy out there. And so like the things that are really prevalent out there is like sex trafficking is, I'm very passionate about human rights, and I'm passionate about like, treating humans the way they're supposed to be treated, and treating people as people and not anything less. And so there are a lot of kids over there who are, thrown into the military at a young age, and there are literally girls who are sold by their parents for money, because like times are tough. And then there are also like, so a lot of rebels out there, they will invade a village and they'll like kill the men and take the boys and make them in the military, and then they will rape just like all the women. And then they will like, and I just can't even fathom as a human being being like kidnapped, and like there are women that just lay in these huts and the purpose for the rest of their life is just to be raped. And so stuff like that just shatters my heart. And so that's why I plan on going back one day, because I want to make a difference in those people's lives. So personally, there is a nonprofit organization that I am really hoping that takes off the way I want it to, that I plan on starting. It's called Kick Hope, and the motto is kicking hope into the Congo, one soccer ball at a time. And soccer is a very easy sport to fund. I played soccer for 13 years when I was little. And so what I plan on doing is like going over there and partnering up with different or if I partner up for I sing the national anthem for FC Dallas, or if I partner up with like a professional team, or if I partner up with the soccer league or something like that, and just went out there and like what the NBA does with Dream Courts. They go build courts for underprivileged communities. I want to kind of go out there and build soccer fields and provide soccer cleats and soccer balls, and use that because whenever I got separated from my family, I had a lot of family issues. Playing football here in America kind of gave me that immediate family and that immediate leadership and mentorship from my coaches. And so I kind of want to go and provide that for those kids through soccer, and use that platform to basically gravitate those kids away from any form of military affiliation and any type of sex trafficking affiliation, and educate them and teach them all the things that sports can teach someone, like working together and teamwork and sportsmanship and working hard, stuff like that. And so that's what I plan on doing, and I plan on challenging other people around me to do the same thing. So this is my biggest belief when it comes to youth. I think the youth it's so important, because the thing is, the way that you talk to kids and the youth over and over, eventually that voice is going to become their voice inside, and that's how they'll start to think. And so when you can start early on and kind of like because this is the thing that really like gets to me, like I can't like figure this out in my head. When a 14-year-old boy, all he's known is war and raping, and so in his mind that's okay, like how do you want to do that? And so I think you just start when they're young, and you teach them like the core values and the essentials and good morals and stuff like that. And because the youth is the future, at once we were all the youth. And so I think if a country wants to be a successful country, they have to care about their youth, because that's who is going to be the country in the future. And so I go and I'll speak to them, I'll share my story, and I encourage them and empower them to realize how great they can be. And then I'll bring my guitar and I'll sing and stuff like that. And so it's not just the Congo. Like, I just care about the youth in general. Yeah, I think it's a country that's been driven by fear, and naturally, because the country was under dictatorship of Mobutu, um, and that's how dictatorships work. And and here's like the crazy thing about fears is whenever one person can make another person feel fear, they are now under that person's submission, and and so if we can teach the youth and if we can teach the citizens of the country to not be in fear, there's no telling what could happen, and that doesn't matter what country you do that in. So I think it's a country that's been driven by a lot of fear, and also by a lot of greedy people, because the country itself, I think it's like some crazy number, like 70% of the world's cobalt comes from the Congo. They're like the resources in the country are like crazy, like the gold and the copper and the diamonds and the rich soil and the oil. Like it's an extremely rich country in that sense. And so people think it's like, oh, the country's so poor, and so, well, the country's very rich. It's just within a few people that richness stays in. And so, well, I mean, if you think about it, if I can make you two fight each other, I'm safe, and so I feel like, and another thing is, my this is literally the reason why I wanted to accomplish this in my music. I was like, well, these a lot of people out there are very greedy, and they don't want to hear anything you have to say unless you have the money for it. So I'm like, well, I'm really talented by music, and for my research, you can make a lot of money from the music industry. And so that is, if there's a reason why I want to do very well in the music business, it's so that I can, I think everyone has a voice, but the sad truth is some people listen more when you have a little bit more money. And so, and that's, part of the reason why, probably the biggest reason why my financial goals are where they are, and when it comes to music. When I was there was a time where I was like bouncing around from home to home to home to all these different places and stuff like that because of all my home life issues. Eventually I got to a point where I started falling behind academically. I was made it a point to always go to school. Wherever I was living, I would try to find a way to make sure I could get to school. Because another thing I'm really passionate about is education, like making sure that, because it's simply power when you're educated. And so, but I started falling behind because it's really tough whenever you don't know where you're going to sleep next and you don't know where you're going to eat next. I kind of started falling behind academically, and one of the schools I went to was actually very gracious enough to let me. I went to a private school for a small period of time, and it would let me work at the school as a janitor, so that way I could provide for myself, like for my lunch and stuff like that. And so, fall behind academically, and I ended up at this place called SPC. That's basically where you can go there for two reasons. For basically, if you don't, if you get in trouble a lot, and if you fall behind academically, for credit recovery. So I went there to credit recovery, and as I discovered more about me and my life and what was going on, that's whenever City House got involved into my life, and I lived at my friend's house. And so City House, basically what they do is they empower the youth, and they basically, I feel like the city of Plano really raised me, because, when I had no clothes, they clothed me. When I had no place to sleep, they gave me shelter. When I had no food, they gave me food. There was literally someone at City House that their job was to transport the kids around where they needed to go. And so they did everything that some kids don't get to have. And so the gap that they bridged for me has just made the biggest difference in my life, and they do a lot of good for the community. And so now I just spend a lot of my time giving back by, like they'll do events and I'll go and I'll do music and stuff like that, or I'll go speak. I'm actually speaking to Plano Youth Leadership on the 16th, through City House and stuff like that. Places like that really change lives, and it definitely changed mine. They just welcomed me with open arms. They actually took me in before they knew my story. They just knew that I was in danger, and that's all they needed to know. And while I was there, that's when they learned more about me, all the details and stuff like that. So it was really cool because like a lot of places, they're like, well, let's learn about him first, and then they might reject you. But they were like, you are our priority, and so that was just really cool to be so welcomed. You spend so many like years, I'm talking about like spending holidays alone, spending birthdays alone, and just struggling every single day and constantly being rejected and by the people who are supposed to be the closest to you. And so it just felt different. It felt like it felt good to be welcomed and to be accepted. And I got to a point where I was just kind of like, I always tried to stay optimistic, but I was starting to grow a very bitter and negative opinion of the world. And City House basically just, through their actions, show that, hey, there's still people out there that care about you, Yeah, the analogy that I made, I don't know the proper like African animal to make this to, but the first thing I think of is a wolf, like a wolf pack. Maybe it's because I'm from Plano and Plano West is a wolves, but like a wolf pack, they stick together. And I feel like in the Congo, some of the things that were going on kind of like encourage people to stick together. Like my message to people was like, and a lot of people don't know this about me, but here's someone who struggled with homelessness and feeling neglected and abandoned and all that kind of stuff, and then struggled a lot academically and socially, and then because of that lack of guidance, struggled with alcohol, and I struggled with experimenting different drugs, started going down a wrong path, and struggled with, actually ended up in a mental hospital, and I was like expelled from school because they didn't think I was like in a good place to be in public school. And because of like my father would like put me out and then call the police and call me as a runaway, and after that so many times you get locked up, and that happened to me like twice. And so like here are all these different things that like usually someone will just like throw in a towel, and but I was very, very grateful to have people who just to look up to, even if they weren't directly in my life. I just had like and then like different people spoke into my life, and like there were different seasons where like so-and-so's mom said this or so-and-so's dad said this, and it all just kind of like gave me hope to keep pressing forward and to keep moving forward. And I've overcame all those things that I struggled with and that I've been through, and I just basically tell people like, if I can do that, I have way too much faith that you can too. And so that's basically my message to people right now. I think what causes people to finally throw in the towel is whenever not you lose hope, but like when you have no faith in the future. Like, so the way that I believe hope and faith work is, so whenever there's hope is like whenever like you have a positive attitude about something working out, and you're, you're wanting something to work out in the way you want it to. But when you have faith in something, it's whenever there is no like I think. When you have faith in something, you know that it's going to get better. And so when people lose faith, and I feel like when people lose faith and they no longer know that it's going to get better, then that's when they start to lose hope, and then they stop thinking positively. And the quickest way to live a negative life is to have a negative mindset. And so when they lose faith and they lose hope, and then it's just south from there. So this song is an original song that I wrote when I was living in City House. It's called I Believe in Me, and it has helped me believe in myself a little more. And my hopes for this song when I wrote it is that it encourages other people to believe in themselves more. And like I always say, like I really hope to, after people hear this song, that they can make a courageous decision to follow their dreams, or to do what they're passionate about, or to believe in themselves a little more. What I'm still really hoping to hear is like someone tells me like, hey, I listened to your song I Believe in Me, and I quit that job that I really hated, and now I'm doing what I love. But I also want people to know that if that doesn't work out for you, you didn't hear this from me, okay? But this is called I Believe in Me, and I hope this helps you believe in yourself a little more. I believe in me, and I believe in me, 'cause if nobody else will, then I believe. Through the good days and the bad ones, I am a fighter, I've got the heart of a lion. Every struggle and opportunity, when I'm overwhelmed and I can barely breathe, I believe, and I believe. And if the room I'm in is crowded or it's empty, if I'm struggling and my heart is heavy, if I feel like I can overcome my fears, or if I'm shaking and my face is clothed in tears, and I believe, and I believe, and I believe in me, I believe in me, 'cause nobody else will, I believe. And I will dream a dream that I would choose to dream, and I will be the me that I would choose to be. I think I can, I know I can, I feel it, and I would climb up every mountain just to see it. No matter what happens in my life, I believe in me, and I believe in me, I believe in me, 'cause nobody else will, 'cause nobody else will, no, 'cause nobody else will, and I believe in me. That's the song.